So, guys, welcome back. And today we start with pivot tables once again. What we are going to learn today is how we can apply filters on pivot tables that we create. So, just to give you an idea of the last session that we did from this entire data, we created a pivot table like this, where we showed the names of employees against the working hours per month for those employees in Jan, Feb, and March month. Now, you might want to have a in-depth analysis on a subset of your pivot table data. Now, this might be because you have large data. Uh, Suppose this was a large data and you want some micro analysis on it. Or a focus on some required small portion of the data, irrespective of the size of the data. So your focus is required on certain specific data within this entire pivot table that we have created. So you can filter the data in the pivot table based on subset of the values of one or more fields. So there are several ways to do that. So it could be ways in the form of slicers. So we have slicers. Yeah. So you can filter the data by slicers. Okay, let me just give it the same format. Yeah. So you can do it in the form of filtering it through slicers. We can use filter by ways of report filters, or we can manually have a data filter. We can also filter based on labels. So you have this label filters. You have value filters. Yeah. So you can filter the data on value. You can have a data filter based on date value, date filter. So that's for date specifically. So you can also try to find out the top 10 by filtering using the filter top 10 filter. And lastly, if we have dates, we can have a timeline filter as well. Okay. So there's a various type of filters. Out of this, we try to cover slicers in a next video because that's a pretty uh, big topic as compared to other filters, because this will be covered in just one filter, while slicer will need to add a slicer to this pivot table. Yeah, and then there are various options involved in slicer as well. So I'll keep the slicer topic for our next video uh, in terms of filter, but we'll cover all this in this particular video. Okay, so let's start. So as we know, as soon as we click our or move our cursor onto this pivot table, we are able to see the area which is on the right hand side. Now, on the right hand side, you'll find the option in the area section. We have the option of filters, yeah, which we have seen during our videos on the areas part of the task pane. Now, any field that you drag and drop onto this particular section will be considered as filter. So how does that happen is, suppose I want to filter this entire data based on department. Yeah, so I want specific departments. So I'll just take department, drag it, click it, and drag it to the filters section. And you will find there is a new section that has come about just above the pivot table, which is for the filters. Okay. So how do we filter? So how do we filter this particular section. Yeah. But before that, you need to know that these are rows of the pivot table. Yeah. We have already seen it. So whatever I drag into the rows will be available in the rows. Anything that I drop in the column section of the areas will be shown in the column section. Yeah. And we'll have a grand total each for rows and columns. And this entire area is your values area. Okay. And just above your pivot table is your filters. So now let's try to understand what do we have in filter. So ideally, whatever section that we have pulled, it will show me the data in this particular filter. So I can just make it a little bigger so that I can see all the values. Yeah, if there are multiple values, you can select that as well. So I can see all the departments that are available in the department field from where I can select. So suppose I want to have only data which is pertaining to the finance department. I want to see only employees that are related to finance or sales department. That's my favorite. So sales department, I'll say okay. So I see that 3 people are from sales department and their work hours are like this. Yeah. So the sum of work hours that they have put in for the 3 months is around 189. Okay. So this is one way of selecting the data for your filters. Or I can have multiple filters. So I can select multiple. So there is an option. Okay. If you see here, I click on the arrow next to the filter, you can see there is an option for select multiple items. Yeah, I can click select multiple items. This will open the checkbox besides each value of the field that we have selected. Now from here, I can select multiple departments. So I can select multiple values for which I want to see the data in the pivot table. Yeah. So suppose I want to see data for sales and marketing, how many hours they have worked, all the employees from sales and marketing, how many employees have worked for how many hours. So yeah, how many days rather. Yeah. So you can see that there is one more person being added from the marketing department, and we see the number of days for which this entire team, sales and marketing team, has worked for in Jan, Feb, and March. Okay. So these are the ways in which you can filter your data by adding the various department to filters or various fields to the filter section so that you can have a separate tab for filter. Now, this is one way of filtering your data. That is your report filter. Okay. The option that we saw right now was report filter. Okay. So let me just bring it back what we have seen. So the report filters are by dragging the relevant fields into the report filter section on the access pane, wherein you would be able to see the report filter. Okay. So this is, let me put an arrow to it. So this is report filter. Okay. Now let's move to the next section of having manual filter. So you can also filter the pivot table by picking the values of a field manually. You can do this by clicking on the arrow in the rows label or column labels. So you have these two sections. One is for row labels and another is for column label. So you can select values from here to have the row level filter or column level filter, which you can select manually. Okay. So these two filters are manual filters. Okay. How do you select them? Suppose you want to have a specific employee on which whom you need to see how many work you have no, how many days he has worked in the organization for Jan, Feb, and March. So suppose for a specific employee like Priya Sharma and Raj Mehta, I want to know the work or the number of days they have worked in the company in Jan, Feb, and March. So I'll say select the values since on the rows we have taken names of the employees. So I select them manually. So this is manual selection of filters. So Anjali, Arjun, okay. So you are able to select them. This is for row filter. I can select all and say okay. Same way I can do it for column filter. So I can, since on the column it is month, I'm able to filter it by month. Yeah. So I can have, I want to see only the data for Feb and March and say okay. Yeah. So this is nothing but manual filters. Okay. So you have to check the value that you want to keep and remove the value which you do not want. Okay. We saw how we can apply it in the row as well as in the column. The only point here is you need to see that if you are not able to see any some of the values, you need to just scroll down a bit to see the values by just dragging the scroll bar which is on the right hand side of the values. Okay. Now you need to see that in the row filter, suppose I have the role. Should I keep the role? Okay. Suppose I have the role as well here, above name. Now there are various filters that have been applied. So there are multiple filters that will get applied. So if I actually click, let me remove this arrows. We have seen the manual filters. In this manual filter in the on the section, if you have nested rows or nested columns, you need to select, you will get an option to select which field you want to filter out. Since there are two fields in this row, on the right hand side below, you will find there are two fields that I have added in the rows section. Same way, if I have added columns, it would have shown me that way. So if I had two fields in this particular row or nested fields in this particular row section, I need to first select which field I want to use for filtering. That's why you can use this particular option on which particular field you are trying to filter out the data. Right now, it is by default, it is giving me the first field itself, and it shows the value which are related to the first field. That is the role. But if I select name, you see the values have also changed, which I can select. Yeah. This I specifically this is what I want to show you specifically because people come back to me saying that I have two fields in the rows or month or column sections, but I'm not able to see the values here. Yeah, for to search them or to select in the filter. Now, if you have nested values, then first you need to select the field that you want to filter from the select field. And then you'll be able to see the values down which you can select manually. Okay. So these are manual filters that you can apply. But filtering has to be properly done. You can apply both filters directly. Yeah, like I can have a row filter saying that I need only accountant and developer or executive. Say okay. And I want the data from column only for the month of March. Yeah, I'll say March. I'll say okay. Yeah, so I can apply manually both rows and column filters together. Okay, I'll remove this filter as of now. I'll select all. Okay, so this is what you have seen till now is how we can apply report filters, how we can have filtering done manually. Now, if you have fields that contain text, you can filter the pivot table by text, provided the corresponding field label is a text based. For example, consider the data that I have shown you below. Yeah, and you have this manual filters that we have seen. Now, if I open the filter, there are other options here. Label filters. You can see this. Now, the label filters can only be applied to text values. So if I have this particular column, which is role and name, these are text values. Yes. So the content of this field. So if I go to this data, everything within name is a text. There is no number in it. Everything within department or role is also text. Yeah. So that's why it is showing me the label filter, which will not show for a employee ID. Suppose I try to add employee ID. I'll show you what happens. So if I select the field employee ID, it is not showing me the, okay, I have text filter, which has to be removed. I could use the value filters. Okay. So you need to be careful when you're adding some fields, what kind of data is available in this field, which we can add or remove or have to select. Yeah. So suppose now let me come back to anything. I want to search for labels. So any data which has the executive as one of its content. So I'll say go to label filter. I'll say contents and I'll say executive. Yeah, and I'll say okay. You'll find all the executive roles have been selected. Okay. So this is specific to a value text filter. Now, as I said, let me remove this. You can explore other options that are available, does not contain, begins with. So if I want to search for a name which begins with, so if I say name, which label filter, which begins with AM. Yeah, I say okay. Okay, I need to remove the filter of this particular section first. Then I have to apply the label filter because I have already added the contains filter. I'll say clear filter. I'll add all the filter first. Have I added any filter? No. Begins with AM. Okay, I have already said asked to search for the name which is beginning with AM. So let me have the name and we can see there is a label filter being applied. If I would have been on the roll, that I cannot see any kind of filter that has been applied yet. Yeah, all the refilters have been removed, but still I'm able to see only the data of Amit Trivedi. Why? Because I haven't checked the name section where I have applied a filter which is begins with. If I clear everything, I would be able to see the entire data. So be careful, because at times I get queries from my viewers saying that I was able to filter the data. Now I'm not able to see any of the data. At times it happens that there are multiple fields that are being added to the rows or the column section, and we add filters based on the various field, or there are multiple filters being added to multiple fields that are available. We need to remove all the filters first so that we can see all the data. Be very careful on this. Okay. So again, as I said, you can explore this various types available, which we have seen in our filters section as well, where I have taken you randomly to from this all this list, two, three sections which you can use. Yeah, but I would suggest you all people to explore this section so that you understand how this could be used. These are pretty self-explanatory and very much understandable by a novice as well. So equals to will give you anything which is exactly equal to, or does not equal to will give you anything, filter out values which does not equal to. So if I'll say, or filter out all the values which are not equal to Amit Trivedi. Yeah, I say okay. You see, all the employees are shown except Amit Trivedi. Yeah, again, I have to go to name and remove clear this filter. Okay, so this is how you add a label filter. Next that we need to understand is the value filter. Now, so we saw this three filters till now. Now we'll check into the value filter. So you might want to know the titles of the employees who have more than 25 employees. Yeah. Or you want to, in this particular data, you want to know the employees which have worked for more than 20, 25 days. Yeah. So what I can do is I'll go here. I'll select, I'll go here. I'll select values. Yeah. I'll add name. I'll say values. I'll say greater than equals to what you want to search for. So it gives me the sum of days, since that's the values that we have added in this particular section. So I want anything which which has the values of 25 days and more for a particular month. Yeah. So is greater than equals to. So there are various ways in which you can filter. So is greater than equal to, is greater than will only have values above 25. So it would be 26, 27 or something like that. Is greater than or equal to will have 25 as well included in 26, 27, because it has the equal to sign as well. Yeah, same way is less than or is equal to, between, not between. Yeah, equals to, does not equal to. You can try it yourself. Right now, I'm just showing you the option of getting into a value filter. So what value filter does is it will filter out the name. Since I am filtering on the name, you can see the section mentions value filter on name. Yeah. So it will filter out the section name based on the values that are available in this pivot table. So what are the values? Those are sum of days worked. Yeah. So if I have multiple values, it would have, this drop down would have given me multiple values. Right now, since I have only one value, that is days worked. So it is showing me that value. So I have selected sum of days worked. I want any person name who has worked for more than 25 days. That's what I require. Okay. I'll say, okay, everyone has worked for more than 21 days, 25 days. Let me have something which is more than uh, 63 days. So let me do that rather than this because the grand total is showing 60 uh, 3 days. So we need to have that first. So let me have name value filter greater than. Right now I'll take greater than sign. Yeah. And I want any values that is greater than 63. So any person who has worked for more than 63 days, I need to filter out that. I say, okay, you'll find all the people who have worked for more than 63 days in the last 3 months would be available here. Yeah. So this is how you apply the value filters. Okay. So let me remove this filter once again. That was applied on name. Clear. Yeah. So now we saw how we can apply report filter, how we can manually add a filter, how we can add a label and a value filter. Now let's have a specific filter like the dates. So let me see if my data has dates. Okay, I do not have dates. Let me add some dates to it. So I'll just add a random 1 to 31. Random. Okay. And yeah, so it is giving me any numbers between 1 to 31. Okay, let me just paste it. Okay, so I have pasted the values here. Let me have a date being created. So I'll create a date for this. So I need to have the year given first, and then the month is Jan, and then your day. Okay, so I need to give the values for the month as well. So let me have that done as well. So this is January, so that is first month. Then we have February from here. So I have two for this, and then we have three. So let me have this data pasted. I'm just trying to create a date to show you the value filter. So that's what I am trying to do. Uh, MP. Yeah. So this is the date that I have created, and I'll add a date column here. Okay. We convert to date. So this is done. Let me remove this column now. These are of no use to me. I have the dates over here now. Let me go to my pivot table. I won't be able to see the date unless I refresh it. So what I need to do is I go to analyze and refresh from the data group that is available in the analyze tab. Or I can right click on the table and I have the refresh option, or I can press F5 to refresh it. Yeah, so I'll not do that. I'll just right click and refresh it. So you can see now the date is appearing here. So I'll remove the role from here. I'll remove the name also from here, and I'll add date to this particular section. Yeah, I'm not remove. I don't want months. I just want the date. Let me just add the date once again. Okay, so I want the dates in a proper manner. Span to date. So I have these dates available in each month. Yeah. So if I want to filter my this particular column which I have added in the rows by date, I in the manual filter you'll find a new section instead of label filter, you have started getting the date filter. Again, these are the same options that we have seen while we explored the auto filter in our previous videos. So you have equals to, before, after. So suppose any dates that I wanted to see for tomorrow, I'll say tomorrow. There's no dates. Let me see something else. This month, let me see this month, and you'll see this is for March, since currently we are in March 2025 when I'm creating this video. I can have for last month, that is for February. Yeah. I cannot have anything for next month because I do not have April data. I can have for this quarter, that will show Jan, Feb, and March. Yeah. I can have this for this year. Again, that will not make sense. Uh, anything between which month or quarter, all dates in the period that I want to select. Yeah. Or I can have a custom filter from where I can select equals to, not equals to, between. Yeah. So if I want to say is between, probably I want to see any data between first week to second week. So first week starts from 1st of March 2025 to 16th of March 2025. So I want to see any data between these two dates. So okay, and I'm able to find the data. Okay, so this is how you can work with dates. That's what we showed right now. But this specifically would be available only for the field which is selected, and it is a date data type. Since we have seen in the pivot table, this is in the form of a date. That's why it is showing me the date filter. Or else, if it would have been the uh, name, you would not be able to see the date filter. The date filter is gone. So date filter is specific to date. Label filter is specific to text values. Okay, pretty clear. This is pretty simple, but it's logical, right? You cannot use a date filter for text and text filter for a date. Yeah, that's pretty logical. Yeah, same way we can, if we have time, we can do it for time as well. That can also be done. Yeah, as we saw how we can add starting date, ending date as well. You can do everything in it. Yeah. So right now, when we added dates, one more thing that you have seen, the Excel is pretty smart in grouping your dates. Yeah, right now let me clear the dates. It has automatically grouped this particular section based on month, and within month you can then explore the day on which you want to see the data for. So this is a function of pivot table which is called grouping. So it groups automatically based on month, date, and if you want to add some more grouping, you can do that as well. Yeah. So I can say group. Yeah. And there are a lot of other groups that you can create, seconds, milliseconds. So if I want to add quarter as well, so I'll say quarter, I'll say okay. And you'll find the quarter being appearing, and I can just select quarter. So the first three quarters, or the Jan month, Feb and March, are the first 3 months for the first quarter. So this is how it groups them. If I want to put the year as well, so I'll again go to the group and I'll say years. And I'll say okay. So you start getting the year as well with for this particular data. So this is how you can create a group, or you can ungroup the group. Yeah, so I only see the dates. You see this? So now I only have the plain dates that were available. Right click, group them to get the relevant grouping that you require for the dates. Okay. So this is what will be covered in the reports part as well when we cover it. But this is how you filter the date in pivot table. So what we have seen till now are these 5 options. Now, next that we see is the top 10 filters. So you can have top 10 filters in your pivot table. Let me just change it to name again, just to make things look pretty easy. So what you need to do in order to get the top 10 filter is you need to go to the value filter. So I go to the value filters. Yeah. And at the bottom of the value filters, you will find this top 10 section. Yeah. Even if it was for date, if I remove this, I put date as in the rows where I can get all this data. Yeah, I'll say ungroup. You'll find the value filter will still give me the top 10. Once I click on top 10, it will open this box. Now it is asking me whether I want the top 10 or the bottom 10. So top 10 filter doesn't literally means top. Yeah. So you can have the bottom as well for this particular, in this particular case. Yeah. So I can have the top 10 or top bottom 10, or I can have only 5. I can say only 5. Give me only 5 people who are the top or bottom 5. Yeah. Based on what? Whether you want it based on the items, whether you want it on the base of percent or the sum, whatever you want. So I'll say based on sum. Yeah. And I'll say okay. So I get the top 5, that is 46. Again, let me make it based on items. I'll say okay. You'll find the top 5 based on item. Yeah. Or if I want the bottom 5, I'll again go to the top 10 thing and I'll say give me bottom 5 based on the items, sum of days work. So I have the bottom 5. Since there are repeated numbers, like 21 is repeated, hence it is giving me more than 5, because 21 will lie on the same 5 count that we have. Okay. So this is how you filter out your top 10 or top 5 or any number of top or bottom values that you have within your pivot tables. Okay. Last filtering that is available is using the timeline. So if your pivot table has a date field, you can filter the pivot table using timeline. So suppose I have this pivot table. What I'll do is, since I have this date columns, I'll just remove all the filters that is available. Yeah? So I have all these dates. Now I can add a timeline to it. How I can add a timeline to it? I click on my pivot table, go to insert. So I need to go to the insert section, and within insert section, you will have this filters, slicers and timeline. Slicers, as I told you, will work it out in our next video. We have this timeline section. Now I click on timeline and you get this option, which is the field that I want to consider. If there are multiple date fields, I would have got those multiple. I'll say date, I'll say okay. And you find this beautiful filter that has come for a timeline. Now I can just move around the timeline to get the necessary. I can just select March. You can see the March data has been selected. If I want February, the February gets selected. If I want Jan, same way Jan. I can select month, quarter, days. If I want to go by days, I want to know on the 9th Is there any data? 10th, is there any data? 11th, is there any data? 7th, is there any data? No. 5, 4, 3. Yeah. Uh, Months. If I want to know for March or Feb or Jan. May, I do not have any. Only have the data for Jan, Feb, March. So this is a timeline filter you can use specifically for dates. Yeah. So if you have multiple date column, you would have got multiple filters which you can use for dates. Yeah. I'll just remove all the filters and I delete this. So this, what I wanted to show you all people is this are the various types of filter that are available for a pivot table, which you can use. Yeah. Why we use filters is the way in which you can slice or dice the data to understand in-depth insights which could be revealed by filtering some unnecessary data. I usually use it while cleaning or filtering some data from where I want to drive some insights where I'm not able to find anything. So I just try to go to the minute level and try to get to the details, minute details of the data so that I can understand the crux or the root cause of a particular event that is happening. Okay. So these are the various type of filters. We'll check the slices in our next video. The one thing that I wanted to show you is suppose I have selected this data and you want to clear the filter. So that is the last option which is remaining. So you have this option to clear the filter here. Yeah. So clear filter from date. And if I have a name column, so if I have a name column, I'll show you that as well. Or any other data, I have this label filters. I'll say contains AM. I'll say okay. And if I want to clear the filter for a label filter, I can do it from here as well. Yeah. But within this label filter, you will again give an option to clear filter. If you want to clear individual filters. Okay. So I can say clear filter and it will clear the entire filter. Yeah. So these are the two ways of clearing your filter so that you can start it again if you have incorrectly put the filters or if you want to remove the filters just to get the things right. Another way of clearing the filter is going to the editing group in the home tab. So if you go to the home tab in the editing section or the editing group, you need to click on the sort and filter option and there is an option to clear. Yeah. So I have not added any filter. I'll show you. I'll just add the filter once again. And if you go here, you'll have the option to clear the filter. I need to click on it. Yeah. So I'll say clear and it will clear the filter. So there's are various options to wherein you can clear your filter. We have seen it in the timeline as well. So if I had this date and if I go to timeline filter within this as well, there's an option if I select Jan, yeah, I have this option to clear the filter here on the filter itself. Yeah. So these are the various ways in which you can clear your existing filters to see your data properly once you have done with all your analysis. Yeah. Hope you like this video. Hope you understood the concept of filtering in this entire pivot tables. Hope you like this video. Do like it, share it across with your colleagues who want to learn Excel. Comment if you want me to cover any of the topics which are important for you and should be covered in this 365 days of Excel journey. And yes, do not forget to subscribe to my channel because that's how you are going to get this informative videos directly to your inbox. Thank you so much.